Thank you for that kind introduction. How can you tell the difference between an extroverted accountant and an introverted accountant? Do you know?
Yes, the extroverted accountant looks at your shoes.
That's correct. The extroverted accountant will look at your shoes. And for you actuaries in the room, I can make that same joke about you. So when I started writing my blog, people said, "Exuberant accountant? Is there such a thing?" Oh, yes, there is. I was talking to an insurance executive the other day, and it was his last day at the office. He was transitioning out of the company. And he was taking his new replacement to lunch and going through all the ins and outs and explaining what was happening. She wasn't very interested, of course. So his final act, he thought, I'm going to give her some words of wisdom, and I'm going to put them on 3 envelopes and give them to her. And he explained, when you get in trouble, please open these envelopes in succession. She, of course, rolled her eyes, stuck them in the desk drawer, and thought, I won't need those. 9 months into her reign, of course, share price is down, stock is not doing well, the profits are down, revenue's down. So she decides to open up the desk drawer and look, envelope number 1. And she opens it, and it says, blame me. She thought, brilliant. So she decides to tell everyone that'll listen, it's all his fault. It started to work. People gave her a little bit of space, she got a little more time. 6 months later, same thing. Stakeholders were getting upset. Things weren't going well. Decided to open up envelope number 2. Envelope number 2, of course, said, blame my staff. She thought, brilliant. I'll replace the COO. I'll get a new operations person in here. That'll make everything work. I need my own people. These guys have been griping anyways. 9 months later, things still aren't going well. She lost the morale of the organization. People weren't behind her. Revenue's down. Profits are down. She thought, I'm going to open a 3rd envelope and see what it says. And it says, prepare 3 envelopes. So if that is your idea of succession planning, you've come to the right place. Because I believe there's a better model. And I have some statistics to show you, and I have some things I think are important. How many people hate the New York Yankees? Yeah. What makes the New York Yankees so hated? Well, success, but what else? What else do they do that no one else can do? They buy everything. Their payroll is $100 million more than the next closest team. And their model is that they just go out and hire overpriced free agents. Why? Because they can. If that's your insurance company and you have an abundance of resources, I applaud you. That's not necessarily what most people are dealing with. Most people have some resource limitations, and they need to be more Minnesota Twins. What makes the Minnesota Twins great? Does anyone know baseball? The Minnesota Twins are notorious for having one of the lowest payrolls in baseball, and yet year after year, they do very well. I just checked, they're half a game out of first place, coming hard against the White Sox. That is what I believe the firm that I'm with, McKonly and Asbury, and with many of the organizations I consult and advise with, I try to teach them this model of building leadership inside of your organization that you don't have just a replacement, but a successor. And there's great talent on the bench, and you have bench strength. So there's my pretty picture, I guess, hopefully. And again, I write a blog, so I get to speak a lot. And if you're interested, you can go there. It's free. There's no cost. I write it twice a week about. It's called The Exuberant Accountant. How many people read the book Good to Great? Good. Jim Collins, when he wrote the book Good to Great, and I highly encourage you, if you haven't read this book, to go find it. He wanted to do all this research on what made great companies. And he defined great by not just a success during one CEO's reign, but a sustainability, a decades and decades of success. And he sent his team out and he said, when you're doing your research and you're interviewing these companies, I want you to prove that leadership doesn't matter. I want you to prove that it has to do more with product, location, geography, history, things like that. I want to prove once and for all that leadership doesn't matter. Well, of course, time and time again, the researchers came back and said, Mr. Collins, leadership really does matter. And they found that what they call this level 5 leadership, it's this servant leadership, this window mirror concept that he referred to in the book. When things were going well, the CEO executive would look out through the window and say, it's because of my people, it's because of the team we have. When things were going poorly, he looked in the mirror and said, it must be me. I need to fix something about myself. I need to do something better. And this was a great quote from the actual book. I want to look from my porch, see the company as one of the great companies in the world someday, and be able to say, I used to work there. Not that I used to lead, not that I was the CEO, not that I was the boss, but I used to work there. I was part of the team. That's a different mindset. That's the mindset that people want to follow in your organizations, that leadership model.